Alrighty then. I think we'll go. I think we're finally on. Right, let me put up this chatty feature. No idea if there's any music. I hope there isn't. Let's pull that up. There we go. And we should be on. Good to go. It says that we are. Let me just check that we are go. It's not just glitching out again. Yeah, it's working. Hello learners, how are you doing? Hope you're good. Let me just check this. Leave a like on the stream if you can. Get it out there. Get the stream out there a little bit. Hello Hazel, how are you doing? Hopefully this update pleases you a little bit. Right. So, we're going to be doing our typical forecast. I'm sorry about the lack of weather uploads recently. I've just been trying to get on with things, really. Should we pull up the charts then? But yeah, I've been doing things. Where's my chart gone? There it is. Right, so I can, if anyone messages, I can see all your messages here. So how is everyone's day going? I hope everyone's doing great. We're going to be doing our typical 10-day forecast. I'm just making sure everything's in frame, which I think it is. Although I might just want to move down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we're just doing everything that we typically do, as well as we'll do a little bit of longer range of the ECM 6-week look ahead. We'll have a look at the ECM ensembles, and also have a general chit-chat about upcoming weather patterns, which may affect the UK, and in general anyway. We'll get straight on with it then. So we're going to start, well, we always start. We're going to start with the UK Met Office. So at the moment, high pressure is centred just out to our west. I feel a bit rusty, I haven't done it a little bit. High pressure centred to our west. I did that Storm Dara video, which did well when it came out and then flopped. But I haven't really had much practice for this. High pressure to the west, low pressure to the east, and winds are in from a slack northeasterly. It's actually quite chilly at the moment. There's some slightly cooler air up in, but it's not nothing particularly cold. Now, as we go through the coming days, winds turn more into the east. Upper level air temperatures aren't too bad, actually going a little bit milder, but it will still feel cold at the surface with possible overnight frosts, as the high is centred right over the top of the country. See, all the cold air is going into Norway and Nordic regions, the -10, and we're trapped under this ridge. As you can see, though, this ridge collapses. It takes some time, but it does eventually collapse. And there's a slight ridge builds over the country on this weekend. So this week looks quite dry. So if you've got any plans, it looks quite dry. But it will feel quite cold under this ridge. As you can see there, by the Saturday, we're under a colder ridge as winds are in from a shallow northwesterly wind. So the -5 line does push through. Obviously still very dry as we're under the high. And then a bit more of a southwesterly flow begins to power up. This could be a transitional period, or it could be the typical pattern we could expect. Hoping there could be a possibility of something colder past 16th. I am very carefully looking at the period from the 17th to the 28th, learners, because there is some developments I'll mention later, which could be quite interesting. But if you want milder weather, it doesn't look awfully bad from Sunday the 15th to about the 18th, I'd say. Because there is going to be a westerly flow or southwesterly flow established across the country by the looks of things. If we go to that icon next, very similar pattern for the next few days. Winds turn into the east, but we're under that high pressure, so quite cold at the surface. Could be a few frosts at times. And then, let me just make sure that's not making a noise. Yes, it is not. Right. But I get a bit more of a ridge with the icon. Keeps that ridge for longer as well, with a shallow northwesterly flow, but very dry, of course. Might be a few odd flurries into Scotland, where over the mountains and things and such, before the high pressure begins to move further to our south. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Look how powerful the PV is, the polar vortex, with all the low pressure systems to the north. It's very powerful. It's one of the strongest on record, I think, isn't it? The strongest polar vortex on record. This is the tropospheric one, not the stratospheric one. That's another thing. This one's in our atmosphere. The other one is the global player, which takes a couple of weeks to respond if you get like a decoupling or a movement of the PV, stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, and winds are in from the west. moving into the southwest at that point. And temperatures are actually not too bad, and that will not feel that bad at all. Probably feel milder at that point in time. Now the GFS 12Z, by comparison, again shows that slack easterly flow, high pressure tops over the country. A bit more of a northwesterly with the GFS, brings down more of that -5 line. Actually gets as far as central Britain, so probably will feel a bit colder. It is again under a ridge for that eventually topples, and then we go into more of a westerly flow. So this southwesterly does look quite likely. So Sunday into Monday could be quite mild before low pressure begins to move back in from. Again, it's not particularly mild air masses. It doesn't last for very long either. Before low pressure begins to run in from off the Atlantic. It's very powerful. And we're in a westerly, but it's not exactly a mild westerly at all, with the -5 line continuing to get into the country. Then something quite interesting happens on the 12Z, with high pressure ridging out in the Atlantic and low pressures with the jet stream sinking further southwards. This low clearing away to the east is going to allow these winds to turn more into a shallow northerly, as you can see here. So that high is out far enough that we actually pull down quite a cold northerly. What? Brilliant. What's happened there? Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Let me just... What's happened here? Well, it's broken. I'll have a look. Let me just read the chat. Did you get hit by storm down here in Hull? We had 70 mile an hour gusts and heavy rain. Yeah, pretty badly, to be honest. It was quite bad. I've seen some places along the east coast, and obviously Cardiff and Wales, like I mentioned. Got hit badly. Right, we'll have to swap websites here. Apologies, everyone. It's broke on me. 12Z. There we go. Right, 1 minute. So we'll have to swap. Sorry, everyone. It's changed for some reason. Right, I want. Yeah, we go. I think I want that, don't I? All right, this will do. This will have to do. Europe. We want that one. No, we don't want that. Oh, what's happened? Europe. Will that do it? No. Right, we want that one. Right, okay. Right, I'll do it. I'll sort this out. Do I want that one? Alright. Right, so this is going to look a bit different. Okay. So there it is. Look, this looks very weird to me. What is this? What am I looking at? What am I looking at? I've never seen this before. 1 minute. Try and load it up again. Right, will that do that? No, it's broken again. Stupid thing. Right, I'm going to have to just try and do this like this, because this is... Right, so... High pressure ridges out into the Atlantic around the 21st. You see these low pressures running in and actually sinking further southwards, like I mentioned before, which actually allows colder air to sink in from the north. Doesn't last for very long, and then there's a low trapped over the top of the country. At the very end, Christmas Eve, high pressure centred just over into the west. Low pressure set over the top of the country, and around that probably winds from the north. So it actually does look quite cold at the end of that run. If we have a look at the 850 HPA temperature anomalies, this is in the air. You can see those orangey red colours move away into more that westerly flow, and look at all that cold air just missing us. But the -5 line does get in, and actually all the cold sinks southwards into Spain. Look at all that. Look at that, 10 to 12 degrees below average to our south. But we still tap into some of that. It would be cold enough for some snow showers involved with that. Definitely something to watch out for, though. At that range. Hello, Devlin. How are you doing? Cheers, Menzie, for subscribing. Just seen that pop up. Cheers for joining the channel. I apologise for using these charts. For some reason, the wetter is down, and I have no idea why. So we're having to use this, and I don't know how to use this because I haven't done it before. Right, so that's that one. So it does get more interesting towards the end of the run. Can I get a better view? Because this is dreadful. Europe. That's not you. Oh, it is. What am I doing? The Alps, France, Germany, Denmark. No. Leave it on that then. Yeah, that'll do. Right. What about Was that? Yeah, I did look at that. Okay. So yeah, around the 17th, 18th, low pressure begins to sink southwards with the jet stream sinking southwards. High pressure begins to ridge out just enough west in the Atlantic to allow colder northerlies to sink in for a time before it transitions to more of a westerly, before going back to a northerly at the very end with this low pressure set to the east, bringing in some quite cold air. Right, let's have a look at the GEM, which is this one, I think. The GDPS run. So much technology. I know. They're meant to be reliable, aren't they? We already broke it. Right, let's see what the GM is showing. Right, will this load? Might be mine. Sorry, the data from some of these steps is unavailable. Are you serious? None of them are available. Oh my word. Please wait while we load your chart. What? Excuse me? What do you mean, please wait while we load your chart? What's going on? What's happening? Is the ECM working? Oh my goodness me. Oh, the ECM is working. Is the GM working? No, the GM's not. GM's in hibernation. Right, let's have a look at the ECM then. So again, what? Oh, it is. It's just very slow. Right. Right, yeah, it is working. It'll just have to go very slowly. What is going on? Damn rip. I think it's just processing, actually, right. Right, here we go. So, I'll give you the general pattern, because it is quite hard to tell on this, but the high pressure does begin to slip southwards with that slack northeasterly today, tonight into tomorrow. Cold through the next couple of days with the high pressure set over the top and just to the north of the country, bringing in easterly, but it's not a cold easterly, and it's not a mild one either, to be honest. Probably will feel quite cold at the surface with frost and fog possible, especially in the north. As we move through Thursday into Friday, it actually brings more of a northwesterly with that, but it's only a transient ridge, which would mean it would feel cold at the surface on Saturday into Sunday, so another cold weekend. Into Monday, though, we transfer into more of a westerly flow. Remember, we can extend 240 hours with this. It does go quite mild around Monday into Tuesday with a westerly flow establishing. And then quite transient. Then this low pressure, very deep area of low pressure, begins to move in. Brief northwesterlies, but they don't last long with high pressures ridging in very quickly. This low pressure actually, at the very end, is on a southerly track, which actually is there's blocking everywhere in this, apparently. Blocking in the Atlantic, blocking towards Scandinavia, blocking to the north, trapping this low pressure system to the south, and therefore it could actually be a little bit chilly. If we do temperature anomalies then on this run, can see that there's slight blues around Sunday into Monday, don't last long, very mild air masses, so Hazel, if you want in your mild air again, looks quite mild for Monday, definitely, next week. Then a few more mild air masses before going cooler, and actually at the end it does go slightly cooler in the south, but for the north it's actually quite mild, so this run actually looks quite mild, really. Bowling Thunderstorm Man, how is it looking for snow near Christmas? Well, you'll be able to find out in a minute. What if I blow away? It's done! The storm's done! How's it going, man? Yeah, it's going good. Yeah. Imagine. Oh no! Someone did blow away. Someone's car got hit, didn't it? By a tree. A downed tree which fell down, which, I mean, that's not great, is it? It's not great at all. Oh, it's loaded! Yeah, we can get the charts back up on here now. Let's go. Right, I'll show you the ECM in a better way now, because we can actually tell what it's doing. Get in. So yeah, Monday, Tuesday does look quite mild with westerly, southwesterly flows established. Then we get a brief northwesterly, which doesn't last for very long, before the Atlantic reigns supreme. Bit of a southerly there, on Saturday the 21st. We're not up to Christmas. And by the 23rd, the lows actually sat to the north, so the WX charts are quite hard to understand. The jet stream is sinking further southwards, taking these low pressures with it. However, this pesky low to the north is keeping milder air within it, and therefore it is quite mild and very unsettled by the 23rd, 22nd sort of period. 22nd, 23rd looks very unsettled and quite stormy. Oh dear, that does not look great for Christmas. Yes, you want it mild. Well, that would be mild, Hazel. You want it snow? Well, I'll try my best. The GFS did actually look a little bit snowy. I wonder if I can get it up, actually. GFS. There we go. Right, does this show up? I have not used this in a while. Will that work? I think that's working. We'll use the weather outlook. Shout out to Brian Gaze. Right, so if we skip through Sunday, Monday looks very mild, especially rain and showers in the northwest with that milder air mass moving in. There you go. Not exactly mild, but milder. Before GFS brings in colder air again, which brings a little bit of snow into Scotland. You can see there's the snow showers in the Atlantic in the north with that westerly flow. So showers turn into snow in Scotland. Actually, a bit of a snow event for Scotland on the 19th, the Thursday the 19th. Before the cold air begins to sink southwards, look at that. A little bit of snow for London on the 20th. Would not believe that at all. I think this runs an outlier. Showing snow on the northern edge for London and Southampton with this low pressure running in. Doesn't last for very long, but again, showers from the east and the northeast with high pressure just out to the north. Could turn wintry, according to this. Snow showing up for the north there. Obviously, not going to pinpoint any areas at this point because it's a long way off, and of course, very uncertain. As we carry on, though, winds do continue from the east, and then this area of low pressure brings some rain, transient snow at the beginning, but bringing in milder air from the Atlantic. So it does look slightly interesting. We have a little bit of interestings. So you should 1v1 weekly weather updates on Rocket League. I do play that game. I'll be honest, yeah, I do. That is one of the few games that I play. Will it be cold? Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? That one does not look too bad at all, the GFS run. Now, why don't then we have a look at the current forecast snow and let's see what that's showing. Transient range, again, very similar pattern for the next few days. Then that very unsettled on the 18th there. Very, very unsettled. Brief northerly, actually, with the CFS. Actually brings the -5 line, and on the 23rd, ooh, not very long, though. The 25th looks extreme. Well, actually, not extremely mild. I mean, it looks mild, though, with winds in from the southwest. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. Winds in from the southwest, so a mild and probably quite dry Christmas Day. There is no chance of a white Christmas. Deary me. CFS doing what it normally does. Bringing in probably the mildest Christmas Day on record. Oh dear. Hello Lee, how you doing? Yeah, that looks extremely mild, but it is the CFS, so we're not going to listen to it at all. Now, what I can show you... Oh, there's a brief northerly on the 7th of January. This looks very westerly, very Atlantic-based. Brief high pressure moving in, but doesn't last for very long. And while that is very mild and quite unsettled as well. Wow, look at that though. On the 7th of February, the CFS begins to build a Scandinavian high. Look at all the cold air to our east towards Russia, flooding in from the east. There's a proper block appearing towards Scandinavia, bringing in some easterly winds. Look at that. -10 line moving in. It can't find snow. Yeah, I know, what was that? The mildest one on record, that'd be. Look at that, CFS bringing in the cold air. -10, proper block towards Scandi. It doesn't last for very long. Would be enough to bring some snow showers from the east on the 8th of Feb. Obviously a long way off, but don't take it seriously. Before, boom, in comes the Atlantic again. Oh my goodness me. And it's bringing up southerlies. It looks like 2015 again, this. Look at them air masses. The 10-degree ice firms into France. What is going on there? Oh, excuse me. It just looks so mild. Look at this. Winds constantly in from the south and southwest and so unsettled. For eventually it begins to build heights. But again, we're on the wrong side of it. And the 1st of March, when you don't want the cold, the 1st of March, then comes the high pressure building to the west. Doesn't build properly and just kind of sits over the country. So still looks quite... Well, not mild, but it looks very dry. Look at all that cold air to the east at the end. Wow. These from the east type air there, into the Nordic regions, flooding into France. But look at the UK on the periphery of it, as usual. That ridge topples away and goes back mild once again. That is a very disappointing run. Wow. Gets the -10 line in at the very end, but would be quite dry. Well, that is one of the most disappointing CFS runs I've ever seen. I want to move. Yeah, if we didn't have the Atlantic, what about if this AMOC shuts down? It won't happen. I just don't think it will. Then, well, what would happen then? No one would know. I'm going to bring up the Oh, we've got the latest ones. Right, this is the latest data from the ECMWF. This is using the 12Z suite. So this is the latest runs, which I can't access yet, but I can access the scenarios they are showing. Now, there's been a bit of a flip here. If you look at 10 days' time for the 18th of December, learners, you might be right. Might be a bit of a flip in the weather. I think that my logo is in the way. 1 minute, let me move that down there. Right, so this takes us to the 18th of December. So, right, let me bring that up. Buffalo and Winter, yeah. 22 members, 43%. High pressure moving out into the Atlantic, out to the west. Low pressure to the northeast, and winds are in from the west over northwest. Now, that doesn't look too bad, because if that high pressure moves further northwards, and that low pressure moves further southeastwards, it would actually turn the wind to the north. But this high pressure towards France probably keeps it quite mild, with winds in from the west. Another 19 here with high pressure out to the west, very similar to this one. Not as far north though, kind of just in the Atlantic. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and winds are in from the west. And then finally the interesting one, which actually looks very cold to be fair, or quite cold I should say. 19.6%, so a minority. High pressure in the Atlantic up towards Greenland, low pressure to the east, and winds are in from a cold northerly. Unsettled and possibly wintry, especially in the north. So we've got a 19.6% of chance of cold. Wouldn't take much to adjust these though. If this high pressure slips towards Spain or further south, could be playing ball there. In 2 weeks' time, obviously it's a long way out this. This is for the 23rd of December. High pressure with 19 of them, including the operational run. High pressure to the west. Just out to the west, and winds could be in from the west or the northwest with low pressure to the east. 18, bringing it cold, I would say, with high pressure just out to the west, but very weak signal. He can just about make it out there. A little bit of high pressure towards Greenland, and low pressure to the east. Winds are in from a north or northwesterly. Doesn't look too bad with them 18, actually. And then 14, established the westerly or southwesterly flow with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, and winds in from the west. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss, Hazel. Damn, life can be a bum sometimes, can't it? Yeah. Well, right. Let's move on then. That's not. I don't like hearing about. That's horrible. Obviously, you know. But anyway, let's move on then. So I want to bring up. Let me just pull them up really quickly. These charts. Yeah, that's not good. That no, I don't like hearing that at all. It's depressing, isn't it? Got to move on though. I'm afraid. Right. So if I just pull up these 1 minute, I'm gonna have to stop the screen a minute. Turn that off, and then I'll just pull these up 1 minute, everyone. Right, let's have a look then. So we're going to pull up the... I do as well, to be fair. I think there could be a crazy winter ahead, but I'm not pushing my guesses. The only person that went for an average winter was Gav, and I hope he's right, because my thinking was that I'm actually going to put out a winter forecast, I think, but I think I might be too late. Let me know if you think I'm too late. So these are the GFS ensembles for London. This is all the runs, which is 33 of them, including the control run and the operational. So this is what they are showing for London. We'll have a look further northwards in a minute. So it's staying relatively cool or cold at the surface, getting down to the -5 line on Monday, before temperatures do recover, or upper air temperatures do recover towards average, before slipping away again. Another cold snap, that's with that transient ridge moving in, for going quite a lot of scatter, but does actually go slightly below average. There's quite a few runs appearing here which actually are bringing down the -5 line. There's quite a few even for London, bringing down this cold air. If we have a look at the snow row, so from about the 16th onwards, yeah, exactly, the 16th onwards, it does actually look quite interesting. So It could be, there could be a cold snap here. Now we just need to get rid of all this scatter. There's a lot of scatter in here. There's some very mild runs, and some very cold runs as well. Some getting down to the -10. Don't like to over-exaggerate. That is something I don't do. If we have a look at the snow depth, there's actually a few snow spikes appearing. It's a long way off, and wouldn't take any of these literally. And there's not many of them, but it is nice to see that there is a slight chance. If we move further northwards to Birmingham, actually a respectable amount of snow spikes appearing. But anything after day 10 is, of course, uncertain and open to change. If we have a look at the GEM ensembles, obviously there's less of them, so more biased towards a typically average spell, but some of them are going cold as well, between the 19th and the 21st. Actually takes us almost up to Christmas, just one day off. Ooh, just one day off of seeing past that point. It can do what it wants after Christmas Eve. I don't want any more storms. Yeah, I don't like seeing storms like what we've just had. It's not nice to see. And, you know, I've seen the pictures of some of the areas affected, and it's not nice to see at all. Not 100-mile-an-hour gusts. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And there was a red warning issued in parts of southern and southwestern Wales for it, and they got affected quite badly. And there was amber warnings. The whole country had a yellow warning. There was snow in the north. There was strong winds. Even in my area there was 40 to 50-mile-an-hour winds, which obviously isn't on the level as some areas, half as what some areas in Northern and the Republic of Ireland saw, for example, and probably Western Wales as well. Cardiff, I saw some pictures of there, didn't look too great either. And Clandudno, I'm not sure, I think it was. You should make a Discord or something. I do have a Discord, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'll have to set it up at some point. I want to have like a community page thing. I have got the community page on my channel, but that's not going to be it. And some people do like Discord, so I'll probably set one up at some point. Right, I'm going to bring up some of my favourite things, and I know that they're always wrong. Well, typically they're wrong, and I wouldn't take anything past week 2 with any sort of certainty. And I want to show the NAO forecast. This kind of shows what pattern you can expect. So if it's going negative, oh dear, then because if it's showing negative, then that means you're more likely to get blocking. You need the AO, which is the Atlantic oscillation, and the NEO, which is the North Atlantic oscillation, to be showing a negative anomaly. Also, that's not in for it. There we go. You need those to be you need that to both be negative to see a not westerly pattern basically, or southwesterly, with the jet stream powering low pressures in. But as you can see, from the 15th of December onwards, basically all the GFS ensembles are going for a weekly positive, or quite significantly positive, strong positive NAO signal, which basically means reduced, and actually very reduced signal for cold air from the north. And there could be a few factors about that. I'll mention them in a second. If we have a look at the other player, the AO forecast, then you can see here this is the other where this is 20 degrees north, and you can see that goes quite positive before dipping slightly weakly negative or just around neutral. There's quite a few which are going quite far negative with the AO. Doesn't matter if the NAO though is quite strong. That does limit the colder potential, I would say. Doesn't completely rule it out, but it does reduce the chance. But there we go. Right, I wanted to show the regime probabilities. These are the most likely patterns affecting the UK over the next few days. Let me move them up, and I'm going to move this back because there we go. This was run today. So, over the next 4 or 5 days, block is in place. However, it's over the top of the country, so it's actually quite mild. Not mild, sorry. It's quite cold at the surface, but it's in the wrong place. It's not bringing in any easterlies or anything. Before it turns more Atlantic between the 15th and the 18th, then there's more of a pattern towards Atlantic Ridge, and just about we can see there's more Atlantic Ridge. However, there is still quite a few showing westerly patterns, positive NAO, but that could be quite zonal and could be quite cold zonality, so I won't always rule that out either. Then after that, it looks quite weak signals because there's a lot of scatter with these runs, but it's obviously a long way out. Anything past around the 15th, 15th, 16th is probably quite uncertain. There is quite a bit of certainty though for it to turn more westerly and probably milder for a time before there could be a change in the forecast. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. Now, if we have a look at the zonal mean winds, then you can see that they are actually in the next, well, in the near future, around the 22nd of December, they're going to drop below average. They're going to go weaker PV than average. They've actually been excessively strong at the moment, and probably record. I think this is record levels. This thick red line, if you can make it out, which is there. This one here. That's the average. This is the average line. We're actually going to dip below average with the winds. Some of them are dropping it towards the end, below the a reversal of winds in the atmosphere. Remember, if there was any sort of response in the troposphere, it would take 2 weeks. This is way up in the atmosphere, which would decouple and all that stuff. It takes forever. But if that did happen, then it could be interesting, but there's not many doing that. It's quite a minority. If you do get it weaker, though, it is a good thing. If you do get a weaker than average PV, if you want cold, it is something that you need to happen. If we have a look at the other charts, let me bring them up really quick. So this is the ECM 6-week forecast look-aheady thing, which I like looking at. Cheers, Shy Society, for subscribing. Much appreciated. Just saw that pop up. So, week 1 is the 9th to the 16th of December, with high pressure out to the west and just over the top of the country, which is why that blocking signal was there. With winds in from a slack easterly into the south, but everywhere else is kind of under the high pressure. Again, with that, and the temperature anomalies are basically around average, slightly warmer on the east coast. Apart from that, though, in the west, it's actually going below average, and about 1 to 3 degrees below average. Precipitation, as you'd expect, under that high is drier than average. Maybe a few slack flow, a few showers drifting into southeastern areas, but not particularly guaranteed. Week 2 is the 16th to the 23rd. Will this go westerly? No. It actually pulls out a mid-Atlantic ridge into the Atlantic. Well, this is rare for this model to do at week 2. High pressure out in the Atlantic, low pressure towards Scandinavia, and winds would be in from quite a cold northerly there. Ooh, 16th to the 23rd. This is what I was hinting at before, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, the 500 HPA heights are actually quite interesting, because that high pressure is not far north up towards Greenland. It's a weaker Atlantic ridge, but still be probably colder, but it's not exactly the best pattern. That high does need to get towards Greenland in the Atlantic, and that you can see how far south shifted the high pressure is to what, well, the Azores high is shifted. It's actually below Spain, which is exactly what you want. The jet stream would be doing something like this, so dipping southwards. Would allow probably colder air masses to move in, but wouldn't be as cold as what we've just seen. Temperature anomalies, though, are, well, they're around average, or no signal, but it is colder than average to our north and warmer than average to our south. I would expect that to be a colder week with those sort of charts, and precipitation could be mixing in, so it could be wintry in the north. But you would need that temperature anomaly to go below average, which it is for Scotland, but you would need it like 1 to 3 degrees below average. But that does look like a cold chart there, I would say, because that is a proper block, or just getting into a proper block. It is a blocking feature in the Atlantic there, and it's stopping. There's all the low pressure systems. It's from the Atlantic. They're going way further southwards. So I don't see why that wouldn't be a cold week, to be fair. Now, this is the exciting week. This is the Christmas week. What's the bets this turns back mild? Put your bets in the chat. Put your bets in the chat. Let's see what people are saying. Scare the heck out of me too. I hate the wind. I don't like the wind. Up in there could be a chance, because on a 14-year cycle. Yeah, I was looking at that. It is that year, isn't it? It is that time where it should be colder. So the weather scared you and your cat. My cat looked grumpy. Right, let's see what week 3 is showing. Oh, well, that every good thing has to come to an end. High pressure is out to the west still, but it is kind of over the top of the country, and winds probably are coming in from a west or northwesterly. Doesn't look cold. at all. Yeah, high pressures begin to move back in, and temperature anomalies are going above average again. Precipitation is quite dry, drier than average, but it's not cold at all. Week 4, the 30th to the 6th of January, and the westerly is back in business. Winds in from the west again. Not much to say about that. And temperature anomalies are going more above average. Will there be a change, or will this be the pattern set? Well, week 5 is a weak signal, but low pressure is still towards Greenland, and well, basically all to the north. You would expect in this white area high pressure to be sat, and probably bringing in a westerly still. So doesn't look great again. And temperature anomalies are, wow, they're going even stronger above average, 1 to 3. Where's the cold there? It's all milder than average. Well, that just shows a change, doesn't it? Dry than average to the south, wet than average to the north. We're kind of in the middle. It's going to be unsettled and warm, or mild, you could say. And then week 6, finally, the 13th to the 19th, low pressure to the north. Wow, this has been persistent, and high pressure to the south. Well, that looks very dull. Winds in from the west again, or southwest. That's from the southwest. That is a very mild week being suggested there. Well, that is not good if you want cold and winteriness. In fact, the complete opposite. What have I done? There it is. You know, this country, yeah, I'm just thinking it will be. Because of the pessimistic Atlantic. Yeah, can it shut down? No, we don't want it to shut down. We want it to weaken a bit, though. Weaken, please. Let's talk about America. You know, at least one part of it will be cold at one time. But because it's the UK, it's typically westerly. That's just the established pattern, isn't it? And it's always... My cat. Oh. I reckon the next snow will be end of January or March. I think February is going to be a mild month, personally. I agree on that one. February will be mild. Is it too late to make a winter forecast? What do you think? Let me know, because I was going to make one, but let me know if it's too late to make one now. If not, I won't bother. Let's work on my end, isn't it? But if I make one, at least I won't be wrong, will I? If I get it completely wrong. Or I could just say it on this live stream what I think from the patterns that I've seen. But there we go. What about then if we have a look at Christmas? Can we get that? Christmas Eves, and we just go back in time. Why don't we do that? That could be quite interesting. If we go in the archive, we see what years we want it to be like. Right, so if we go... I want... Right, 2023 then. And then we go there. Right, can I move the days along? Right, 25th. Here we go. Christmas Day. Let's have a look at some past analogues. How's about that? How does that sound? It's not too late. Get one done. No, not too late on the live. Yeah. Right, go on then. So, I will say that... Oh, no. I think that we will see a significant cold spell. Now, I reckon that it will happen in January, and I think that February will be a very, not very mild, but I think it will be a milder than average month. And then March, many weathers probably will turn out cold. We'll have a look at the SSW data later, learners. I'll have a look at that, no problem. I was just about to bring them up, but I forgot where they were located, but I know where they are. But yeah. December, end of December, I think there will be a cold spell, but I'm not sure on the longevity of it. I think it will last not too long, and I think it will just be from an Atlantic ridge, which could bring some potential for some snow in the north particularly. However, I do think there will be low pressure systems moving up from the south, which could bring some snow into the southwest and southern counties. But obviously, exact air masses could indicate whether it's going to be rain, sleet, or snow, or just rain. I would say that period is just after Christmas, but there is a slight hint of colder conditions between the 18th and the 22nd of December, and it will not last that long. Yeah, exactly, Hazel, probably. But if you want mild weather, I'd say February is the best month. For the November we just had, was that forecasted? Yes, it was forecasted to be about 1.5 degrees above average, I think, learners, compared to the regular average, the 91 2020, and it only came out, was it 0.7 above average? So it did get wrong. It's never always right. It's not always right at all. Yeah, it's La Nina, so February, exactly. The future said it properly. It's a La Nina, so February will have a stronger PV and jet, so for a cold snap, it will have to be before mid-January. Yeah, exactly. That is what you need, sort of thing. La Nina typically does bring westerlies at the end of the month, which allows for possibly cold snaps. But at the moment, the PV is powered up and just going to bring in the Atlantic by the looks of things. But it could actually be a cold It could be quite a cold spell. It did. I know. I saw the photos of like Cornwall and Dartmoor and things, and quite shocked to see them. I don't think they were expecting that much down there, were they? But there's my forecast. So December, obviously, it's going to turn a bit colder. At the moment, it's cold, isn't it? I'd say it's 7.2 degrees at 8:50. It's not particularly mild or cold, really, is it? It's going to be colder over the next few days, and then it's going to warm up around next week, next Monday. Then it's going to drop away again, I would suspect, and I think it could be quite cold. Not exactly wintry, could just be quite dry. And then around Christmas period, I would expect it to go milder again, and then could be a cold snap at the end of the month. The 28th to the 31st is my sort of range. Then January, I think around mid-January, there will be a cold spell. In fact, I think it could be quite a lengthy cold spell, because I think there will be a block established to the north. If it's an Atlantic ridge or a Greenland high, I think a Scandinavian high is unlikely. But I do think a PV collapse or SSW is slightly more likely than normal. I think it typically is these days, but I think it will have an influence this year, and it will happen better than last year, where it was half-assed. For the swear words, but it was very much like that. It didn't last for very long at all, and barely had any influence down at the ground level, did it? So yeah, I think that is the general trend. So if you're looking out for any cold weather, end of this month, I would say possibly the 18th to 21st, but I'm not putting my bets on it. And end of the month, and then mid-January is your best time. Other than that, probably quite mild with westerlies established, especially through February. March probably will be a cold month, I will not lie. Right, let's go through the Christmas data. So this was the 25th of December, 2023. Now, if we have a look here, and I'm just going to pick midday. And if I remember correctly, Christmas was not particularly mild or cold last year. But I do remember there was some snow in Scotland. They had the white Christmas up in the far north of Scotland. That was a westerly pattern, though. I remember lead up to Christmas was everyone was so excited, and it turned out to be rubbish. And then on like a few days before, it turned, and it was a major disappointment for a lot of people. Yeah, if a PV collapse happens in Feb, it can happen. In fact, it could happen, but it's a little bit far out to say anything with any sort of certainty, of course. But obviously, I will forecast it if there's anything close to the time. If we have a look at 2022, then that is a mild Christmas. 2021 was quite close. Really, there was blocks. If you look, there was blocks to the north, but the Atlantic, as usual, was the problem, and was bringing in westerly winds. I think there probably was some snow in Scotland, the far north, but probably didn't last for very long. Probably was a bit of a bugger at the time when this sort of pattern happened. I could imagine. I bet a lot of forecasters were angry with this pattern coming off. I cannot remember the year at the time because I wasn't forecasting then. 2020 was an interesting year. Not on Christmas though. Quite mild. Wow, these new millennia winters are dreadful. 2019. Well, that looks like a very mild winter. I mean, a very mild Christmas with winds in from the south. I mean, that probably was a disappointment. 2018, now we know what winter we're waiting for. 2018, now we're on to a different size chart. Yeah, I remember watching a certain someone who I will not name, who put some titles in. The latest title I saw was Cold Christmas Cancelled. 2018, well, that is probably one of the mildest we've had in a long time, with winds up from a very mild southerly, southwesterly direction there. So 2018, not what you want. 2017 is westerly, quite mild, maybe a little bit of flurries into the north, but a bit flat, a bit transient, doesn't seem to last too long. 2020. I'm not naming names. Found the way 2021 to be a cold one, actually. Yeah, I remember it being quite cold. Yeah, it was actually quite cold. I remember that times. 2016. Right, these are rubbish. That's westerly. In fact, there was no chance of any snow anywhere. That's probably a very mild one. Wow. 2015 was a disappointing year. 2015. 16 was mild. Maybe a little bit of winteriness in the north. Looks quite close, that chart, actually, but this high pressure towards France is powerful. I must say that these 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18 ones actually looked a lot milder than they do nowadays, but somehow it's still milder these days, and I don't really understand why. 2014, bit more northwesterly, and you can actually see, I've not looked at these charts before, but you can actually see the -5 line is across the whole country. There, you can just see it, you can just make it out there. The -5 line was in, so it was under a ridge, so it probably was dry, and there probably was no snow, but it was cold enough. Let's be honest, we always westerly. Yeah, very rare to see otherwise these days. 2013, mild. 2012, none of these have been cold yet. 2012, mild. You can just see that the -5 line is just to our north, and we're in the 0 to -5, so not cold enough, maybe over the glens or something. 2011 looks extremely mild. That is a very mild Christmas. 2010, now this one should be a bit more interesting. There we go. Right, this is a lot more interesting now, isn't it? Sudden change. I actually want to look a little bit further on in this one, because I haven't really looked at it before. High pressure on Christmas Day is just to the west, and low pressure towards Scandinavia. The colder air is into Western Europe. However, it is drifting further towards us, but again, over the coming days, not much happens actually. Towards the very end, though, around the 1st and the 2nd of January, look at this. High pressure moves to the north, and that is a proper block, and brings in colder air masses at times. Like, look at that. That is one you want after Christmas. If you wanted a cold one, you'd need the air masses to just change a little bit, and that high to move further northwards. 2010 was it? That was what I was looking at. Yeah. 2009, then that should be better. No. Mild. Christmas Day. 2008. Wow, that is winds from the east. Look at all that cold air. Does that drift in? No. Nope. No, it does not. Well, wow. Where's the cold? Where's the cold? More like to snow in thingy. It's more like to snow in at Easter than it is at Christmas. On Easter Sunday than it is Christmas Day. But you didn't know that. You probably did. It probably has snowed on Easter Sunday more recently. I think it did, didn't it? 2021 was it? 2007, mild. 2006. I'm just looking for a cold one, to be honest. 2005, very mild. 2004. That, yeah, that definitely did produce some snow, right? Winds are in from the north. We want 2004 then for Christmas, because that probably would produce a little bit of snow. Didn't last long. Ridge up in the Atlantic, not up towards Greenland. PV's too strong. Low pressure just to our east, and winds are in from a cold northerly with that one. Northwesterly. -5 line is in, right? Yeah. So that probably was the one which produced some little bit of snow. So that one. 2004. 2003 was westerly. 2002. That looks southerly. Yeah. Dearie me. So we've had 1 out of 21 years. Now that is what you call a cold chart. 25th December 2001. That is what we want. Low pressure's shoved away. Look at that. The PV is to the east, and winds in from direct northerly. Look at that. 2001 is the one we want. Not for the rest of the winter, just this. Now look at that. -5 line is through the country. Showers would be turning to snow in the north and the east, and that is what you call a good chart. Stop the Atlantic. Yes, we do. We do need to stop the Atlantic. It's dreadful. I don't know what is this live stream turned into. Oh, I just wanted to have a quick look. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, that's what we want if we want cold. So winds in from the north. So 2001 is the year we want. What happened after that then? Oh, so it kind of toppled away very quickly. No, not really. The cold did stay in for a time. That probably was a bit snowy as well. Well, that looks like the best one. 2000. Now that is also a cold Christmas with the -5 line. And showers are probably into the east with that one. Now is that a bitterly cold easterly? Yeah, wow. That is a snowy one. That is a prolonged colder spell before the mild winds out. Probably would be a transition with a snow event with that one, actually. Let's have a look then if this one is any similar to what we're seeing at the moment. No, not particularly. Not particularly at all. With that high moving out into the Atlantic and then up to the west. That is what you want, but most likely not to happen, is it? But 2000 and 2001 don't look bad for Christmas. That's what we want, though. 1999, wow, that looks very similar to probably what we will get. There's some cold air wrapped in, though, so it probably could be a little bit colder on that one. Probably a little bit of snow, actually. 1998 looks the exact same. Westerlies, probably only snow in the north. 1997, we'll only go back to 1990, otherwise I'd be here all day. 97 has a very stormy Christmas day. 96 looks like it's setting up a cold spell. Look at all that cold air. Now, does that one get colder? No, it does not. Damn. Oh, it does. What happens at the end? Wow. Look at that. Looks like 2018 again. What? Where's it gone? Oh, there. That one is a prolonged cold spell. Like, look at that. That one stays around for a while. That's a good one. 1997 then. Let's hope that happens at Christmas. That would bring in lots of snow. You'd expect with that proper easterly flow. 95 looks cold again. See, look, as further we go back, the more colder winters there are. I blame all the planes going across the Atlantic. Yeah, it can't be only us who has beef with the Atlantic. Yeah, Atlantic smiles. So basically, what we've learned here is that the PV used to be shifted to the east a lot more often than it is now. Instead, it's over Greenland all the bloody time, and bringing in stupid westerlies most of the time. But yeah, so that one is a cold one, I would say, with winds in from the north. So 1995, 1996 after the Christmas, 1999 was a cold zonality. 2000 was very cold. 2001 was quite cold. 1994 I would expect to be mild. Yeah. 93 westerly, that is. 93 looks cold with winds in from the east. Right, it was a lot more common to get colder air in, wasn't it, than it is now. 1992, that is typical mild pattern. 91, that is mild. 1990 is probably cold. No, mild. Dear me. So looking through those analogues, we want between the 1998 and 2001, and then 0910, obviously, and then maybe 18 March, March, bees from the east. I'm rambling on now, though. It was fun to go through all that stuff, and sorry I was a bit unprepared today. I've been a bit all over the place with these chats. Hope you all enjoyed the stream, though. I can see you all chatting in the chat together, and yeah. So what's the schedule this week? There should be 2 uploads. Probably a 10 to 14 dayer at some point, and longer range stuff is coming up. But yeah, I am very sorry for rambling on. If anyone has any suggestions, then after this live stream, I'll go back through the live chat. So if you've got any suggestions for anything you'd like to see on the chat, we're not done yet. I forgot. Right, should we have a look at the latest polar vortex data? This is the last thing I'm looking at, because otherwise I'm just dragging it on for not what it's worth. Right, GFS, and we want, I like using this website, the Strat. We're going to have a quick look at this. So this is the polar vortex, and this is the PV of doom in the atmosphere. Now you can see there is a warming appearing to our east towards Siberia, gathering pace over the 14th, and you can see it's becoming a little bit of a significant warning. It's the last thing I'm looking at. The planes fell over jets to a bit Sociaria. But as you can see, the PV has been slightly dislodged, but not too much. There's minus 80 in the centre towards Greenland there. However, this is way in the atmosphere, so not troposphere, not what we'd actually see at the ground level. As you can see, there is I don't know why I'm writing high pressure, but higher temperatures, warming, gathering pace to the east of the PV, and actually begins to become quite a significant warning. Chips away at the PV, but doesn't quite strain it. However, there is another warming appearing, which is going to put more stress on the PV at its roots in the stratosphere. It does actually make the PV actually a little bit smaller, and the minus 80 actually disappears. So it is slightly weakening it, but it's not enough to reverse winds, not at all. But if that started to move and this warming did not lose strength around Christmas Eve in the stratosphere, then it could become quite interesting. JK. No. Well, maybe. Yeah, just start streaming that while I'm just stream that on the weather channel. No. It's a secret because the jet stream is literally constantly stalking us. Yeah, it's always in power. It just is. You got to get used to it. Global warming is causing it's just truth, innit? Do you think Weekly Weather watchers that talk to you have a disgrace? No, I don't. I don't mind if he does. I do not. I do not at all. Not today. Not today. Maybe another day, but not today. I'm gonna fall asleep. Gonna fall asleep. No, I'm being silly. But yeah, that's the end of the stream. I need to stop rambling on. I blame the planes too. Right. Cheers all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next